Good evening. We're back in New York tonight, back on the story that shook the world this weekend. The sudden U.S. raid on Nicolás Maduro. Delta Force commandos snatched the Venezuelan dictator and his wife from a fortified compound in Caracas on Saturday. And now they are both here in New York City tonight in a notorious federal detention facility.
Two men with very different lives are now in the same concrete cell. One built his wealth with music and showmanship. The other ruled through fear and control. Tonight, both Sean Diddy Combs and Nicolás Maduro are breathing the same stale air in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. This jail is so well known that even some guards call it punishment before a sentence. It's not a rumor or an exaggeration. The Venezuelan president, who once ate steak trimmed with gold, is now in the same facility where Diddy is serving time. They share the same locked hallways, the same isolation areas, and the same sleepless nights, with shouting echoing from unseen cells.
The MDC is a far cry from Maduro's palace in Caracas. Now, law enforcement sources tell us that he is being held in one of the top floors of this jail. They say that he is not being held in isolation, but is being held with other higher profile inmates.
The timing alone shocked almost everyone. Maduro's capture happened very quickly. It was a dramatic one-day event that ended with a helicopter flying straight into New York airspace and landing at a plain concrete building that most people in the city walk past every day without knowing what is inside. Last weekend, local reports said armed guards with machine guns were posted outside the gates, and crowds of protesters filled the sidewalks. Some people yelled for justice, while others called for revenge, depending on which flag they were holding. By Sunday evening, both Maduro and his wife had been placed in solitary confinement, separated by thick walls and bright fluorescent lights. Officials describe these conditions as special administrative measures, but anyone who has been there says the term is almost a joke. It really means you sit alone, eat alone, and lose track of the days until you forget how many you have survived. That same corner of Brooklyn has seen some of America's most well-known prisoners pass through. El Chapo Guzman once walked the same hallways. So did Sam Bankman-Fried, Ghislaine Maxwell, and now Diddy, a man whose global reputation fell apart under federal charges that sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. When Diddy's verdict came down in July 2025, he was convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in what prosecutors called commercial intimacy. The music world gasped. He was cleared of the most serious charges, but he was not set free. In October 2025, the judge sentenced him to just over 4 years in prison.
Prosecutors, on the other hand, said Diddy was not sorry and that his apology was phony and that there was some serious harm done to the victims of this case. Like you said, they wanted a sentence of at least 11 years. Ultimately, we know a sentence has now been shared with the court of 4 years behind bars for sure.
Since then, the hip-hop star who used to party with presidents has been sleeping on a metal bed with a 1-inch mattress, no pillow, and a light above him that never goes off. His room is very basic and uncomfortable. Now, Maduro, a man who once ruled Venezuela from a palace decorated with marble, wakes up in conditions that are almost the same. The difference between his old life and this one is huge. Photos released after his capture show the former president being led by agents, his hands in restraints and his face showing shock. Just days before, he had been surrounded by motorcades and soldiers. Now he is surrounded by guards carrying rifles.
Bankman-Fried were in the unit that was 1 floor above mine. So in terms of like the setting, it's a fairly decent chance that the room I'm describing is similar to where Diddy is. Yeah.
From the very cameras that once broadcast his big speeches are now recording him being processed into the same prison known for freezing winters, spoiled food, and power failures that left inmates cold and stuck in the dark. The Legal Aid Society has called this jail a place linked with serious neglect, a claim that sounded extreme until judges themselves started refusing to send people there because of its conditions. We've seen powerful people fall before, but this feels different. Diddy's world slowly fell apart over time, piece by piece, through scandal after scandal. Maduro's fall happened almost overnight, and fate has now put them in the same place. One is a disgraced former world leader, the other a fallen business and music icon, both now seen by many as symbols of greed and excess. What makes this even more striking is how the same walls inside this prison seem to wipe away their status, treating everyone the same no matter who they once were.
Diddy claimed that somebody held a knife to his throat. He woke up and this guy basically had him and he had the knife, and Diddy was at this person's mercy. Now, it's unclear what exactly happened from there. Was there a guard that came in? Did Diddy somehow fight this person off? Well, seems unlikely that happened. Or did the person just leave? Bottom line, this guy, at least according to people close to Diddy and Diddy himself, could have hurt him badly or even taken his life.
The MDC doesn't care who you used to be. Once the door closes, the same mold spreads across the walls. The same smell hangs over the food trays, and the same rules take away every bit of comfort or luxury. Diddy may have sung about freedom, but inside that building, the only sounds are the hum of the lights and the clang of metal gates. Still, the timing is hard to ignore. Sources familiar with the Bureau of Prisons say both men are held under the highest security level, though not right next to each other. Even so, staff have been talking about unusual activity near the isolation wing. Guards whisper about short lockdowns, sudden shift changes, and 2 convoys arriving at odd hours when normally only one is expected. No one has confirmed anything officially, but it has already sparked theories that the two might have communicated indirectly through messages passed between prison personnel.
Are you concerned that Sean Diddy Combs could be assaulted, violently assaulted. Is that a thing? Because based on what was said in court, it feels like a thing.
Outside, the protests have grown almost like a performance. Venezuelan exiles are standing beside New York activists. Some are calling for Maduro's release, while others cheer his capture and downfall. The scene reflects the big media attention that surrounded Diddy's trial earlier this year, when jurors heard weeks of testimony about his alleged freak-off parties and accusations of manipulation in the music world.
The government essentially said that Sean Combs led a criminal enterprise for his desires, that he tried to cover up crimes, that he was the leader of this criminal enterprise, and that he committed at least two, that they believe, of these elements that are part of the racketeering.
The news coverage of his case ended with his partial conviction, but the legal issues haven't gone quiet. His lawyers have filed appeals, his business interests are under investigation, and more than 100 civil lawsuits are reportedly waiting in court. A man once called Brother Love is now inmate Combs, number undisclosed. Amid all that chaos, one thing keeps coming up: the attack. Just weeks before Maduro's arrival, Diddy was reportedly woken in the night by another inmate holding a handmade blade to his throat. A close friend, Charlucci Finney, said the incident didn't end in tragedy but sent a clear message: intimidation runs the block. Authorities haven't confirmed it publicly, but people inside the jail said security was tightened afterward. This makes Maduro's arrival even more tense. A former head of state was dropped into a prison already full of pressure, where violence and rumors spread faster than the warden can control. The Metropolitan Detention Center isn't just any holding site, it's known for harsh and unsafe conditions. Reports describe overcrowding, violence, medical neglect, dirty food, and frequent lockdowns that have even led some judges to refuse sending people there. Many high-profile inmates have passed through MDC, including Combs, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Sam Bankman-Fried. Lawyers have called it a very difficult place to be held. Cells are small, with plain walls and a single buzzing light. There have been widespread complaints about maggot-infested food, cold temperatures, broken toilets, and other poor conditions. For Maduro, who once spoke proudly of Venezuela's independence while millions went hungry, this feels like poetic justice turned into literal confinement. For Diddy, it's another chapter in a downfall that seems to stretch without end. Each day now feels heavier than the last. The same journalists who once covered Diddy's parties are now camped outside a federal courthouse waiting for Maduro's next court appearance. Cameras have caught protesters holding signs that read, "Welcome to hell, Nicholas." Inside, Diddy remains under close watch, still appealing his sentence and still trying to hold on to some sense of control. People close to him say he has become more withdrawn since the attack, rarely speaking, his star power fading into the background noise of the prison. For Maduro, that silence could be even more threatening than isolation itself. Two powerful men, both cornered and both once known for influencing others, are now left with only time.
Now, you mentioned Maduro's arraignment. It is set for noon tomorrow, and he faces a slew of federal charges, including for terrorism, which, if convicted, could net him decades in prison.
We can look at their stories separately, but the way they've come together is hard to ignore. Diddy's world fell apart under testimony from women he once tried to control. Maduro's downfall came through the force of American power. Yet both men now find themselves in the same worn-down fortress of the justice system, the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a federal jail known for its dangerous and difficult conditions. The big question many people ask is whether this overlap is just a coincidence or something more deliberate. Could the government have wanted to keep these two under one roof for a reason? Or could someone be trying, in a strange way, to keep their stories tied together physically? Whatever the answer, the effect is clear. The MDC has become a new center of global scandal, where once powerful figures now share the same atmosphere. Cameras can't easily show what happens inside, but leaks and reports paint a grim picture. Guards inside the jail say Maduro's cell has been kept separate and sealed off at times, with meals delivered by only one approved officer, a sign of the tight security around him. Others claim that Diddy's area has also been under restricted movement, though the Bureau of Prisons won't confirm that publicly.
That's where Diddy has been for months now, but last week he was taken to the hospital. According to reports from the New York Post, Diddy was transported from MDC in the cover of darkness at about 10 p.m. on January 30th. He was taken to a Brooklyn hospital for an MRI after reporting issues with his knee.
The deeper we look, the stranger the situation seems. A dictator accused of wrecking his country's economy is now housed in the same prison that once held a music mogul convicted of exploiting people through fame and power. Both men have had great wealth, both have supporters outside the jail, and both still insist they are innocent. It feels less like coincidence and more like a reflection of how power can fall, two empires collapsing side by side inside one crumbling justice system. Some rumors have begun to circulate, the kind that start quietly and spread fast. People whisper about unusual moments in the jail, extra security checks, brief gaps in surveillance feeds, and unlogged activity on schedules. None of these claims have been confirmed, and there is no evidence that Nicolás Maduro and Sean "Diddy" Combs have ever made contact inside the Metropolitan Detention Center. In reality, security at the jail is strict, and high-profile detainees are usually kept apart for safety reasons. Prisons like MDC are known places where powerful people stripped of their network struggle to build new ones. But official sources make it clear that movements inside the facility are tightly controlled, and there is no public record of any unusual meetings or communications between inmates. Outside speculation fills gaps where facts are scarce. Within 48 hours hours of Maduro's arrival, it's true that there was notable legal activity around Combs's pending appeal, but court filings and procedural motions can happen in many unrelated cases and don't necessarily prove a connection. Officials from the Bureau of Prisons have not offered any explanation linking the two events. Meanwhile, MDC has become a focus for both international and local media. Venezuelan journalists have been camped outside since Maduro's arrival, and U.S. outlets have covered every moment closely. The irony is that no one can see much of what happens inside the prison's narrow, unmarked windows show nothing, and the streets around it are tightly secured. Because of the jail's reputation and the high-profile nature of its detainees, speculation spreads quickly. But as of now, there's no confirmed evidence of secret meetings, unlogged convoys, or unusual nighttime activity tied to communications between Combs and Maduro. What is real is that both are in the same large federal detention center, a facility with a long history of dangerous conditions, overcrowding, and criticism from judges and advocates alike.
So these are fluorescent lights.
Yeah.
And you're sleeping in that light. What was the first night there?
First night was very intense. Again, I'm, coming down off drugs. And by that time, the second time I went in, between the two times I got in a terrible...
It's easy to see why people are interested in this story. The similarities between the two men are striking. Both lived in luxury for years. Both seemed untouchable. Now they wake up to the same metal doors, the same food trays, and the same echoing hallways of a federal jail. This is where power and fame meet a harsh reality. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn was meant to help with overcrowding, but it has become a symbol of broken justice. Even people with huge wealth can end up here waiting for court dates that may take a long time. Nicolás Maduro and Sean Diddy Combs are inside the same troubled system, though on very different charges. Maduro faces serious federal accusations, and Combs was convicted of 2 prostitution-related counts and sentenced to about 50 months in prison. Public court records show Maduro is held under strict measures that limit his contact with other inmates for security reasons. Experts say MDC has a long history of problems, including violence, poor care, and bad conditions issues that have even led judges to lower sentences for some detainees because of how harsh confinement can be there. The jail has housed many well-known inmates, such as Combs, Ghislaine Maxwell, Sam Bankman-Fried, and others, which draws intense media attention. Journalists from around the world have gathered outside, and rumors spread quickly. But every move inside MDC is tightly controlled by the Bureau of Prisons, and there is no confirmed evidence that Maduro and Combs have had contact or communication inside. Even so, the idea of a former head of state and a once powerful entertainer ending up in the same detention center captures people's imagination. For many, it shows that no matter how powerful someone was, they can still fall.
Diddy obviously just starting out his time, well, not just starting out, but starting out his official sentence since being sentenced not too long ago. And I think suffice to say, it's not going well so far.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's got 4 years and change that he's going to ultimately have to serve, although he has served already a year as he awaited his trial and then went through his trial.
Inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, life is tough for everyone, including high-profile inmates. MDC has a long reputation for harsh conditions, including violence, lockdowns, maggot-infested food, and understaffing problems that have drawn national criticism and even led judges to reduce some sentences because of how rough confinement there can be. Diddy has publicly complained about the jail's conditions, and lawyers for detainees, including him, have argued in court that MDC is not a good place for pretrial detention due to safety concerns. Maduro is also being held there under tight restrictions, with limited contact with other inmates for security reasons. Reports show that MDC has housed many well-known detainees over the years, from music figures like Combs and R. Kelly to other high-profile prisoners like Ghislaine Maxwell and Sam Bankman-Fried, which brings extra media attention. While conditions at the jail are real and often harsh, including past violent incidents and deaths from stabbings, there is no confirmed evidence that Maduro and Combs have communicated inside the facility. Officials with the Bureau of Prisons have not reported any such contact. Outside, the situation has drawn global media. Venezuelan reporters have been covering Maduro's presence at the jail, and MDC's troubled history continues to make it a focus for critics who point to ongoing issues with violence, neglect, and overcrowding. In short, public reports show MDC Brooklyn is a challenging place to be held, even for influential figures, and that its problems from violence to poor living conditions continue to draw scrutiny from legal experts, lawmakers, and reporters alike.
Interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic, evidence.
Inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, life is hard. MDC has a well-documented reputation for rough conditions, including overcrowding, violence, poor medical care, lockdowns, and complaints about food and safety. These issues have even led some judges to refuse to send people there because of how harsh confinement can be. Sean Diddy Combs has been held at MDC since his arrest in September 2024 and was later sentenced to about 50 months in prison after being convicted on 2 counts related to prostitution. His lawyers have raised concerns about conditions at the jail and fought to keep him out of MDC ahead of his sentence. Former Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, now facing U.S. federal charges including drug-related counts, was brought to the same facility in January 2026 and has pleaded not guilty in federal court. Because both men are high-profile, MDC has drawn intense media attention from around the world. The jail has held many well-known detainees in the past, and its problems with violence, understaffing, and poor conditions are widely reported. While conditions there are tough, there is no confirmed evidence of any special coordination or unusual interaction between Maduro and Combs inside the facility. The Bureau of Prisons has not publicly confirmed confirmed any insider communication between inmates or unusual activity. What is clear from reporting is that MDC continues to be a difficult place to be held even for influential figures, and that these real conditions have fueled public interest and speculation. Whether seen as coincidence or symbolism, the fact that both a former head of state and a famous entertainer are being detained at the same troubled facility highlights how quickly influence and fame can give way to confinement under challenging conditions.